Hello, my name is Amber Vance, and today I will be presenting on inappropriate relationships in law enforcement. In the 1700s, police were established in the Carolinas for the sole purpose of controlling slaves and preventing uprising, giving them the name slave patrols. These patrols led with fear and excessive force in order to create a sense of control over slaves. After the Civil War, slave patrols became militia-style groups that were empowered to use force in order to deny equal rights to people of color. Because of the history of law enforcement, many biases still exist today, including the public belief that law enforcement is racist and unequal towards people of color. On December 18, 2022, a police officer in Boynton Beach, Florida, responded to a woman's home on a welfare check. The woman struggled with alcohol use disorder and was needing assistance in gaining access to treatment. Officer Monteith did not offer the support she needed, but instead coerced her into a sexual relationship with him. In the months following, Officer Monteith would regularly visit the victim to engage in sex, bring her alcohol, and continue the inappropriate relationship. The victim reported that he took advantage of her alcohol use disorder to manipulate her into the relationship. He was eventually investigated and terminated from his position in office. Sexual misconduct in law enforcement is described as sexual contact by force, rape, threats of force or intimidation, and unwanted touching or groping. The International Association of Chiefs of Police have a strict policy on this type of misconduct, and departments are responsible for investigating and prosecuting such acts. Research conducted in 2020 showed that the American public's confidence in law enforcement dropped to 48%, which is the lowest it has been in 20 years. The majority of Americans support reform to include a federal database to track any misconduct. Additionally, 2/3 of Americans believe that police officers treat black people less fairly than white people. Sexual misconduct has been prevalent in departments where leadership ignores and tolerates patterns of abuse. Much of this lies heavily on the code of silence that exists in law enforcement, and leadership has a duty to break the code in their department. Leadership has a responsibility and duty to uphold the law, department policies, and code of ethics. Leadership who does not enforce the law, policies, and code of ethics should face their own consequences. At times, media has had a negative impact on public opinions as well as the well-being of police officers. Media has a way of exaggerating the truth or misleading the truth, which can create stigmas around law enforcement. In order to address sexual misconduct and inappropriate relationships in law enforcement, departments should focus on further training around policies, laws, and the code of ethics. Leadership should focus on a department of communication instead of silence. Police officers need access to support, including counseling, to help address the many mental health challenges that they face. Reform should be at the forefront in order to improve the relationship between law enforcement and the community.